The prophecy was a whisper on the wind, a chilling premonition that sealed her fate long before she ever met her groom. Her groom will not be human. In the heart of a kingdom teetering on the precipice of ruin, where famine gnawed at the land and war drums echoed from the borders, Princess Elara was the final, desperate gambit. Her beauty was a legend, but her future was a sacrifice. The elders, their faces etched with the grim lines of desperation, decreed that she must marry the enigmatic lord of the Shadowlands, a figure spoken of only in hushed, fearful tones. He was a recluse of immense power and wealth, a mysterious sovereign whose alliance promised salvation, a deluge of grain and gold that would pull her people back from the brink of oblivion. The arrangements were made in haste, a somber pact written in the ink of her tears. Elara, draped in silks the color of freshly spilled blood, walked the aisle not towards a future of love, but towards an obligation forged in shadow. She was the kingdom's lamb, offered up to an unknown darkness for the survival of the flock. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic bird trapped in a cage of bone, as she stood before the altar. The figure waiting for her was tall and cloaked, his features obscured by the deep cowl of his hood. When he spoke his vows, his voice was not the warm timbre of a man, but the resonant, cold echo of a crypt, a sound that seemed to suck the very warmth from the hallowed stones of the grand cathedral. She felt the chill of his hand as he placed a ring of obsidian and bone upon her finger, a final, binding shackle. She was no longer a princess. She was a bride, promised to a mystery she could not comprehend, for the sake of a kingdom that would now live on, because she had agreed to die. The wedding night descended like a shroud. In the opulent, cold chambers of the Lord's fortress, a place carved from the very heart of a black mountain, the air was heavy with the scent of ancient dust and withering lilies. There were no servants, no celebratory fires, only the suffocating silence of a tomb. He led her to the grandest room, where a single sliver of moonlight pierced the gloom through a high, narrow window, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the still air. It was there, in that desolate beam of silver, that he finally let the hood fall. Ilara's gasp was stolen by the horror that confronted her. The face she saw was not one of man. It was a visage of pure curse, a horrifying symphony of shadow and bone, with eyes that burned like dying embers in hollow sockets. His skin was the pallid grey of ancient parchment, stretched taut over a skeletal frame, and his lips were a thin lipless line that twisted into a semblance of a smile, a grotesque mockery of human expression. He was not a lord. He was death itself, a walking, breathing personification of the end. The promised wealth was not of gold, but of souls. The power was not of armies, but of the grave. He had come to claim his bride, the living heart he required to anchor his spectral form to the mortal plane. She saw in his smouldering eyes the endless procession of souls he had reaped, the silent screams of millennia. Her own life, she realized, was merely the next candle to be snuffed out, before the first hint of dawn could stain the eastern sky. Before the world could awaken to the horror of the kingdom's bargain, Elara vanished. The bridal chamber was found empty, the silken sheets undisturbed. The only trace of her presence, a single, shed tear that had crystallized into a perfect pearl on the cold stone floor. She had become a ghost before she had even died. The kingdom was saved. The rains came, the harvests were bountiful, and the enemy armies retreated as if plagued by a sudden, inexplicable pestilence. But the cost was a lingering phantom. The story of Princess Elara, the Bride of Death, became a cautionary tale whispered by mothers to their children, a ghost story told around crackling fires. The people of the valley, who live in the long shadow of the Black Mountain, will tell you that the story is not over. They claim that the Lord of the Shadowlands still wanders his domain, bound to the mortal world by his stolen bride, forever searching for the warmth he can never truly possess. And as for Ilara, they say her spirit was not entirely consumed. Locals, hardened fishermen, and young lovers alike swear they have seen her. When the moon is full and hangs like a polished skull over the still, black waters of the lake at the mountain's base, they see a flicker of white. Her bridal veil, they insist, a wisp of ethereal silk, can be seen floating just above the surface, drifting aimlessly on a breeze that no one else can feel. It dances and weaves through the mist, a spectral memory of a wedding gown, a silent, sorrowful testament to the princess who was lost to the dark. They say it is her soul, forever trapped between the world of the living and the realm of her husband, a luminous tear in the fabric of the night. She never saw the sun again, only the shadow she called her husband.